Good evening, everyone. You said my name right. That was close. That was good. I'm so excited to be here. I've always wanted to be on the stage at the Bradley, and unfortunately, I've never had any talent. But in spite of that, here I am. It's pretty good. Probably not very well for all you right now, but in the next 5 minutes, we'll see how it goes. When I prepared for tonight, I decided to get a bunch of friends at the house and do some spitballing, something to talk about, because I've never done this. I don't know what I'm doing. And we had a great night a couple weeks ago. We came up with a laundry list of things to talk about, and it was great. We had a great night. At the end of the night, my stomach hurt. It was so funny. But the next day, I looked at the list and I said, you know what? There's not one thing on there that I can use tonight. Everything was completely inappropriate and highly offensive. So I want to thank Brian, Andy, and Eric for coming to my house. We had a great night. You didn't help me at all. All you did was make me realize how shameful my humor is. So here we are. But then I thought about it. What kind of comic am I? I grew up with some great comics when I was a kid. There was like Richard Pryor. There was Eddie Murphy. There was Andrew Dice Clay. Those were the guys. That was the kind of humor that we kind of talked about a couple weeks ago. And but I'm more of a clean comic guy, I think. Like the Jerry Seinfelds of the world. I think the George Burns. The Rodney Dangerfield. But the guy that I realized I put my whole life around, Bill Cosby. Bill is my guy, and we'll talk about Bill a little more in a minute. Like I said, I've grown up here. I've been in Northeastern Connecticut my whole life. I've always kind of wondered, where I originally came from. Like many of you, the great thing about being an American is, you look back. If we go back far enough in history, we all came from somewhere else. So I think one of the things I've always wanted to do was get an ancestry kit. So I did this a couple of years ago, and it takes a couple weeks. You get it in the mail, and it's very exciting. And you take the swab, the whole thing, you send it back. And then when the stuff actually came in, I was actually really nervous about everything, because I realized, holy cow! Like, what if I have a shameful history? What if I was part of a cult or something? I was really concerned. But then I started reading, and it was good news. Not only did I not have a shameful history, I found out I am oppressed. The same development for me. Oppressed. Very exciting. But race, politics, people get so crazy about this stuff. They really do. I play golf with a local attorney, and if I'm losing a couple holes here and there, all I do is bring up politics. His head blows off, and I win the next 3 holes. It's so easy. But they do. People get crazy about it. But I like to just sit back and watch, because on a lot of these subjects, if you take the hatefulness and the hurtfulness and the vigor out of some of these subjects, a lot of it is pretty funny. And I'll give you an example. A few years ago, there was a term that came out: pregnant people. Not pregnant women, pregnant people. And I don't care what your politics are, it doesn't matter. But where my brain goes, can you imagine what a pregnant Eric Quinn would look like? For those of you know Eric Quinn? And I feel bad. It's the swollen ankles, the big belly, the irritableness. And I would feel bad for his wife, Julie, really, because she'd have to put up with all that. But come to think of it, she's probably put up with some of the symptoms like that before in the past. So I'm sure that all works. But yeah, seriously, politics are crazy these days. It's not about the smartest people and the best leaders. It's really like who can yell the loudest unsubstantiated facts. That's who gets all the attention, and that's too bad. But I do think, looking at the glass half full, that we live in a wonderful time. We really do. Like, I think of Amazon. You order something on Amazon, you get it the next day. To me, that is incredible. I just recently ordered a circular saw. I don't like to talk about it, but and anyone that knows me knows I shouldn't have any power equipment, unfortunately. And all that's going to happen, it's going to go in my garage, and a few months from now, my wife Julie will throw it out, because that's what she does. But that's what we do as Americans. It's great. But you can't blame me, because we've all done it. We've all ordered things that we just don't need by any means, right? You look at what happens, you go late night TV, or you're scrolling social media, or surfing the internet. And I'm looking at one of my friends up here, Bob Brosnan, who has one of the most shady questionable internet surfing history of all time. So I know he knows what I'm talking about, but you all know, I'm sure. I'm sure, you get these items, they pop up, and it's like, I gotta have it, you order it. But there's one item that I've run across that I think is the most ridiculous item you're ever gonna see in your life. It's ridiculous. It's the Mount Everest of ridiculous items. Nothing is even close. The Merkin. And those of you who don't know what a Merkin is, it is a pubic wig. It's a real thing, you can Google it. And apparently it's been around a long time. It started in the 1800s, okay? Apparently there was a lice problem, and so people would shave down there. And what would happen? They just get this Merkin, they'd slap it on, walk around, got this new Merkin, I'm doing well, right? I mean, this is what happens. But, it seems like a ridiculous item, but the thing I think about is, okay, there was no Amazon back there. You weren't ordering a Merkin and having it delivered to the privacy of your home. No, you had to go down to the Merkin store, right? So bear with me for a minute here. We're in the 1800s. I'm going to go down to the Merkin store. I walk into the door with my wife, Julie. The clerk meets me. Hello, Mr. Desaulnier. What can I do for you? Well, I'm in the market for a Merkin. Well, you've come to the right place. Wonderful. What kind would you like? What do you got? Well, over here on the right side, I've got a Don King in a leg lock version. Over here, I got a Donald Trump in a leg lock version. And anything in between. Would you like to try one on? I would. I would end up in the changing room, of course. And I guess you take your pants off for this type of thing. I don't know what happens. And you slap it on. Come walking out. I would imagine, Julie, what do you think of it? I'm sure Julie would say, I think it makes you look fat. So I guess I need to get a bushier one. Simple as that. So we have all these ridiculous items. I don't know. We love our stuff. We just love it. We love it. But getting back to my favorite comic of all time. Who is that? Bill Cosby. One more time. Get it. Bill Cosby. He was a true pioneer and a trailblazer. He really was. I mean, he did the Cosby Show. He did Fat Albert. He did Bill Cosby himself, which was one of the most iconic comedic performances of all time. It was incredible. But I will say, somewhere along the line, there were issues. Well, I'm thinking about it. I mean, Bill, he played Dr. Huxtable on the Cosby Show, if I remember, and he was an obstetrician, if I recall. When in reality, he was really an amateur anesthesiologist. But the one thing I think about Bill, which plagues me to this day, when I think of Bill Cosby, is, do you think Bill, through all his travels through Hollywood and everywhere like that, do you think Bill might have bumped into a Merkin or two?